Hey everybody, it's me, Audio Bible Lady. I hope you were on that journey with us through the book of Genesis. We just wrapped that up, and this is an intro to our next book, which is Exodus. In the Bible, it's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and then we get into Joshua, Judges, Ruth, so on. As we learned in the first book, we learned that God is our creator. He is our provider. He is a loving God that even when we mess up big, gives a second chance. We learned how the earth started getting populated and some covenants and some promises that God gave to his children, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob. We learned about Joseph, an amazing story of a man who was beloved by his father and from Rachel, and how he was sold by his brothers. His brothers did not like him. They despised him, and they sold him off. But what they meant for harm, God meant for good. He sent Joseph ahead of them for a time that was going to come where they would need their brother in a different place. And in this case, it was in Egypt during a great famine where he was reunited with his brothers, and they realized that God had worked it for good. During the famine, Joseph was in such a high position, he was able to feed his family and so forth. So as we jump into the book of Exodus, let's just do a little bit of well, what is that? Okay, the word Exodus, the Latin form of the Greek word exodos, meaning to exit. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, right? The story, it begins about a few centuries after Genesis. The Hebrew people are still in Egypt. That's where Joseph kind of left off with them. They were in Egypt. God responds in the book of Exodus to the cries of the people. It doesn't necessarily say they're crying out to God. It just says that they're crying out, that God is hearing their pain and their suffering and their slavery. And we're going to hear about a special baby that was born in a time when all the baby boys were being killed. All the Hebrew boys were being killed. His mom did such a brave thing, puts him in a basket and sets him off in the river. And that's pretty much how we start off the book of Exodus. By the end of the book of Exodus, I'm trying to remember how many chapters we are. Not quite as long as Genesis was, I don't think. Hold on. Nope. About 10 chapters less. By the time we reach the end of the book of Exodus, we're going to learn a lot of stuff we knew nothing about. One, about the faith of the people, and how often in life don't we tend to watch God set us free from something or pull us out of something that's bad for us or harmful for us, and we kind of just, like a dog returns to its vomit. That, I know that's a nasty psalm or proverb, I forget, but we'll see the people do that pretty much throughout the book of Exodus, where they start complaining and they go back to their old ways and their old thought processes and desiring what they had, thinking it was somehow better than what is right now. And that's where faith comes in. This is a journey of growing them and teaching them to lean and rely on him and to trust him for everything. And this is it's a very applicable lesson for us even today. By the end, we'll have learned a lot of stuff about priests and laws and tabernacles and stuff like that, but bear with it, because you can always glean something out of everything that the Bible has to say. I love you guys, and I look forward to starting this journey with you all on Monday in the book of Exodus. Bye.